So, I haven't posted in 2 days. Mostly because 1, my car got fucked over, and 2, my work setup got fucked over. So I was dealing with those two, so sorry about that. To make up for it, however, I am going to be talking about an effect that is honestly not talked about a lot in the Magic the Gathering communities, but yet I believe it is still one of the strongest effects to exist in Magic the Gathering to this day. That effect being Sacrifice. To those of you who are unfamiliar, Sacrifice cards usually involve a player picking a creature on their field and willingly destroying it and sending it to the graveyard. Typical Sacrifice cards that come to mind are cards like Geth's Verdict, All Is Dust, and one of my personal favorites, Cataclysmic Gearhulk. Now, why do I think this effect is so strong? Well, hear me out. First order of business, there aren't actually a lot of ways to get around Sacrifice. Most of the time, it happens whether you like it or not. When you ask an opponent to sacrifice something on their end of the field, it usually gets around a lot of different effects that they have already established in order to protect their side of the field. Two effects that come to mind that usually screw over a lot of removal plans are Indestructible and Hexproof. Indestructible stating that it can't be destroyed, and Hexproof saying that it can't be targeted by spells or abilities that your opponent controls. Sacrifice gets around these two effects because 1, you're not destroying the creature. Your opponent is choosing a creature and sacrificing it themselves. And 2, you're not targeting it. Your opponent, however, is. It's like a very evil way of saying, hey, kill a creature, but don't worry, you get to be the one that chooses it. The effects that get around Sacrifice, however, are actually very rare in terms of how much they appear in cards nowadays. The methods that come to mind are 1, giving yourself Hexproof, and 2, creatures with Shroud. Giving yourself Hexproof negates all effects that target the player. A lot of Sacrifice cards target an opponent. And Shroud gets around Sacrifice because it doesn't just limit itself to being protected from spells and abilities that the opponent controls. Shroud also protects itself from spells and abilities that you control. If your creature can't be targeted by your opponent and it can't be targeted by you, it's not a valid target for Sacrifice. Which brings me to my second point of why I love Sacrifice as an effect. The other half of Sacrifice cards usually have the word each in them. Term each being the card is indiscriminate in terms of who it targets. Therefore, it gets around people that have given themselves Hexproof, thus leaving one effect that is a surefire way to protect against Sacrifice, which is Shroud. Anyways, that's what I think about Sacrifice. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see y'all later.